Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. So I had every intention of taking this home, ripping all the speakers out, bringing it back here, taking the higher powered Alnico. It's a Blackheart by Warehouse Speakers, WGS. So I think it's a 75 watt version. It's a copy of the Alnico Blue, but in a 75 watt version. Just a sturdier speaker, so you can play a little cleaner, a little longer, and not worry about blowing up your amp. I mean, blowing the speaker up if your amp's a little higher powered, because the Alnico Blue is only 15 watts, so you need a couple of them if you're going to push, some wattage. And then I've got the 75 watt version of the Reaper in there, and the Reaper is usually 30 watts, and the Reaper is a copy of the Celestion G12H30. Now at the top, or I can't remember where they're sitting, but I've got a proper Celestion G12H30 and I've got a proper Alnico Blue. The other two are just copies by Warehouse, and both of them have higher power ratings. The reason I got the higher power ratings at the time is because I was getting a good deal on the speakers, and they were the only ones that were around. This is a long time ago when Warehouse first showed up on the marketplace. Like, I don't know, 15 years ago, a long time ago, and so, or maybe even longer. And so I grabbed those, and I wasn't that knowledgeable about efficiency and why you do what you do, and why you pick wattage, and why you pick what the crossover of the hertz and all that, because most guitar speakers cross over, I guess, at like below 55 hertz, and some of them, the 55 hertz ones, pick up more bass. You can hear more bass. So there's a lot of little things to understand about the speaker designations, but I didn't know anything back then, and still learning by the day. But it was kind of a cool accident, because those higher rated speakers keep this amp cleaner a little longer, which is the benefit of having 4 speakers, is you get more efficiency going, and it takes more to break it up. Or like when you have so let's say you have an 18 watt with one rated for 30 watt speaker, the G12H30, that's going to break up a lot faster than if you have 2 of them, because now I think it adds 3 dB or something like that, which is pretty significant. That's like I think 6 dB is the difference that you hear in a 100 watt and a 50 watt amp. I can't remember, it may only be 3 dB. It's not a lot. The 100 watt amp just gives you more headroom, and that's what I'm trying to achieve here, because I absolutely love the rock tone that I get out of this Marshall 18 watt head into the Celestion combination of the Alnico speakers and the ceramic speakers. And apparently the G12H30 is a combination of a greenback and a vintage 30 and a greenback. I could be, yeah, vintage 30 and a greenback. And this thing, so here's the little dilemma I have. Sounds awesome in this, right? But when I was recording into my deluxe, so just now I was recording a guitar part for my record I'm doing, and I wanted to use the deluxe, because it was the only amp I had in my possession, because this one was in the shop. And I'd finally kind of found the Fender guitar to Fender amp magic that everyone talks about, and I was getting this unbelievable tone, at least in my ears. You can listen on the videos and decide for yourself if you like it. But it was a really nice, low gain kind of vintage Strat tone, very pure sounding, and just magical, like dynamic, and makes the ears work and makes the imagination go, And I had to do kind of a particular setting, because for a while I thought this might be my main amp for a second, and let's say I want to take this one out and rock it as my whole night's amp, like this is it. And so I had to set my pickup heights a little differently than how I had them for the Marshall to get it to function correctly. And so, to understand what I'm saying, neck pickups on Fenders, at least on this one, can get a little icy, And so I had it up here because I was getting full throaty response out of the 4x12. Well, on this one, I had to drop it down on the treble side and bring it down a lot on the entire pickup, but also specifically on the treble side to take some of that kind of stinging, ice-picky bite out. And then I found that to get that little quack thing going with the middle pickup, you got to drop that down significantly and pick up the treble side on the middle pickup, because it can get a little woolly on this amp, a little thick. But it's almost like perfect if you get it in the right spot just for like rhythm strumming, because it's a perfect balance of not too thin and not too thick. But that one I got kind of low, because if you don't get the quack, if this one's up high with the rest of them, you don't get quite as much quack. So if you want the quack thing, which you might as well get it if it's there, and if that's part of the Strat identity, you want to have these higher than the middle one. And then finally, this is a Lawler special bridge. These are all Lawlers, but this is the special bridge, which is like 7.1K, or I can't remember the measurements are on the back of the pickups. These are like high fives, and this is like right at 7, so it's a little bit thicker. And ordinarily, I wouldn't like a higher wound. I like these low wines because they sound so clear and glassy. But man, this pickup is unbelievable. But it breaks up, like it's perfect for like leads and stuff and like certain moments. And if you want to go for the fuzz, it's almost like its own little fuzz pedal on the Fender. But it's so thick that it's like hard to chord. If you go to like any of your low stuff, like a F, or like a coming down hard on these low notes, these low strings, it just gets real, real farty, real just blown out, to the point where there's no definition, and it's not like the most pleasing kind of distortion like a Marshall or a Vox where it's sweet. It's more, and it's got its own thing that's cool. But if you push it too hard, especially if you're just trying to get a clean strum going, that's where you got to drop this down. So I thought about it. I was like, it would be ideal to have guitars that are set up for particular setups. So if I was devoted to this guitar and this amp, and there were certain songs in my set that would have this combination, I would have this guitar obviously set specifically for this amp. And if I had another Strat and it was set up for this one, and then I had another one that was set up for some other amp, or for the 2x12, so I'd have one that goes out with the 2x12, and then or each time you play the gig, let's say you take all your guitars, 2-3 guitars, you just set all your guitars up for that amp. Or you have one for one setup and one for the other. But the point being is that if I had a guitar tech and I was at the level of, a celebrity musician or whatever that has the budget and the following in order to merit having people around, and you end up having to have people around because things get busy and whatnot, and you can't keep up. So if you had a guy helping you, you could totally picture like you'd have pickup measurements, for everything, and you could get totally crazed. I was reading about Eddie Van Halen auditioning guitar techs, and he finally found this amazing dude, and the whole audition to get the gig was to be able to tune his guitar. And you would think, what's the big deal about tuning a guitar? But I guess he knew that there was something special about his tuning, because when they handed him the guitar and he did his thing on it and handed it back, they hired him because no one else had been able to do that before, to tune it exactly to Eddie's specs without Eddie telling him. So it's not that unusual to get this fussy with your stuff, because everybody does it. They get obsessed with tone. All right, so what I was going to show you real quick is the absolute importance of pickup height. I never really took pickups that seriously until I got these Lawlers. I have Tim Shaw's in my Les Paul, but I wasn't really obsessed with pickups, and I figured, how could they be so great or whatever? It's just a magnet with copper wire and all that. But there's certain people that have a touch for it and get onto something. I think this company definitely has, because I've never heard anything quite as good as these. These are really amazing. Granted, I haven't heard tons of Strat pickups or like really thought about it, but compared to what I had in before, it was these are remarkable, and they have really blown my mind. I still feel like I haven't fully discovered everything that they can do. And I read about at one point when I was changing pickups, because you don't like the way they sound, and I had a set of pickups I didn't like at all. They were Alnico 5, and they were just cheapies, and I could not get them to sound good unless I dropped them way down. They were just harsh and nasty. And so that was when I first realized the importance of pickup height. I had experienced it before with the Les Paul. I always try to get mine up as high as I can, especially when I'm plugging directly in, because I want it to sound as gnarly as possible. And humbuckers have a way of kind of mellowing things out. So I always got them up high for that. So I knew that, you know, they made it more nasty. But man, you really can get a dialed in tone, a specific tone, just with pickup height. So before you spend all your money on boutique pickups or just keep swapping out and can't get happy, there may be more that you can get out of the pickups, or that's what I've learned at least, by adjusting height, and it's free. And it saved me a lot of trouble, because my goal is to get this 2x12 to sound a little more like the 4x12. And I'll tell you what happens. When I'm in the 4x12, I can sit at 3 and play clean and turn all the way up, and it's like I get like some clean tone, not really clean tone. It's a Marshall, it's dirty clean tone. And there are Marshalls that play clean, like the JTM 45. You can play that kind of clean, and Super Lead you can play clean. There's certain big wattage amps by Marshall that actually stay clean, but they're kind of known for this sweet breakup and all that. So I'm trying to control it. And on this one, it was just always cranked. And everything sounds beautiful. When you crank it all the way up, it's almost like stepping on an overdrive. And you can clean it up by rolling back. And the main thing I noticed with these wonderful speakers in here is that they put out some real nice bass. And that's partly because it's a 4x12. And those speakers down there are rated higher. So they're thumping a little deeper, which sounds amazing. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. I'll just play a couple chords to give you a feel for what it sounds like in the 4x12, and this is about where I had the pickup set up. Let me make sure. I think I've got them a little lower than I had them. I had them up pretty high. Well, I don't want to get them too high, because if you get this first pickup too high, you get what's called stratitis, and you know, nobody wants that. But that's where the magnet pull, because you've got it's so close to the string here that you get magnet pull right there that makes the whole guitar like waver. Luckily with these Lawlers, they're flat pulled, so you can get down pretty close, because you can just measure the string to the plastic as opposed to worrying about those magnets sticking up in the middle. Because you got to be aware of that, you know. All right, so now in the neck pickup, I'll just show you a basic like D chord. Got everything turned up on the amp tone and volume, and just a nice like beautiful tone. Here we go. In the neck pickup, it's like nice and throaty. It has a good dynamic range. Now watch this. I'll roll it down to like 4. Here's on 3. Nice, like pretty clean, dirty clean tone. And then we go to like a G chord. Light night, like right on that edge of breakup. Now watch, here we go. It's pretty much a perfect tone for rock. I love it. All right, so now middle pickup. Same idea. And here's the quack up here. So watch this. I'm going to roll back on that pickup. The middle pickup will roll back to 3 again. Awesome. Now here's the quack in that position. Okay, now finally the special bridge. I'll roll that one down to 3. I think it's awesome. And it's kind of like my Fender, but just full power. Here, I'll play some single note stuff to show what I'm talking about. It's just hot, you know. Here's the next pickup. You can roll off the cap here. There's a middle pickup. Just awesome. All right, so you see my dilemma. That sounds amazing. I mean, at least I think it sounds amazing. And I would just take the 4x12 out all the time, but I can't tell you how much easier it is. It doesn't look much bigger, but when I take the 4x12 out, it has wheels, so it lifts it up about another 3 inches, so this thing gets up like this, and then it's just, yeah, it's just way, it sticks out. The slant comes out like another 2 inches, and in its same width, it's just that next level big, and it's heavy. Like those 4 Celestion big-ass baskets, you know, huge magnets on the back. The Celestians have the big magnets, not like the Jensens or the American ones. They got those little baby magnets on the back, which creates a lot of dynamics. There's reasons for that. It's not like bigger's better, it's just different. Okay, so now the goal is to replicate that tone into the 2x12. You can't do it exactly because A, the speakers aren't the same, not as good, and not so much that they're not as good, but they're not exactly voiced exactly the way I would want them to, but I'm growing to like them more and more as the days tick by. On one side, we've got the Marshall 12 T75, which I've really grown to like. That is in, I think the 85s are in Mark's 4x12. Could be 75s. I'm trying to remember. 75s or 85s, and those sound that cabinet sounds so sweet, so I've always liked those, and I like that one. Took me a minute to get used to the Eminence Private Jack. That's a British voice speaker that's supposed to be a greenback copy, but from what I read online, it sounds, most people say it sounds very different from a greenback, but it's in that ballpark. The main thing to keep in mind, it's like what Kay Mays was telling me about another Eminence Legend speaker. It's the 1-2 something or other, I forgot the designation. But they're British voice speakers that are made by a company that knows exactly how to make a British voice speaker. So what you're getting is, it's not the speaker that I'm having trouble with. It's just the fact that there's only two of them, because these speakers are very similar to these Celestions. There's some differences. For starters, the Private Jack gets nasty fast. It's like on tap fizz, which is cool. You know, I like gnarly guitar amp tone. The only problem with it that I was getting is it just felt very one-dimensional, like just a dirt box, a fuzz box, and there wasn't that awesome dynamic that I get with the 4x12, where I turn it down and get like a dirty clean and then, you know, and just the dynamics, the bass, just the whole thing. But this can drop in the trunk. You throw this in a gig bag, and the head, you know, is small and light, and you just drop it on. It's got wheels even. I mean, I'm often running with this setup. Same thing with the Deluxe. The Deluxe is just a little more tender. I like to have this as a side amp as opposed to my main amp, because I'm just worried I'll blow it up. Plus, it's a 66. It's like, you know, get one that's not quite so, and it looks great. Like for a blackface 66, it's 2 years older than me. It's 55 years old. It looks amazing. So I don't want to bash that all to bits. And I find it more difficult to get my entire tone out of a smaller combo amp, because it's kind of like a specific tone, whereas I need something a little more versatile, that like the Marshall with the 4x12 provides. I get a more range of easy to get tone, and I don't have to worry. Like this one shocks me. I need to get this one grounded properly, and get a 3-prong on it and just have it completely done over, and then it might change everything. But I don't think so. It has a particular magic, that I have to get it at, and it's not as good when I get it to that point. It doesn't work as well for like rhythm chords. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the 2x12, just knowing that the speakers are different but similar British voiced. I detect less bass and more upper mids, and they both sound a little more, this one especially, the Private Jack, has like a woody, like throaty tone that you can hear and hear, but it's a little more polite, whereas this one's like a little nastier. So I want to tame the nasty. So now, watch what happens. Same amp head. I'm going to just switch speaker cabinets, and we're going to switch ohms, because this one is two 8-ohm speakers. You put two 8 ohms together, you get 16. This one is four 16-ohm speakers, so you put four 8-ohm speakers, and when you go to four 8-ohm speakers, the rating goes back to 8. So this one is rated at 8, this one is at 16. When I built the amp, they told me that they thought the 16 tap was slightly sweeter, so that's kind of cool. When you switch to the 2x12, you get what they consider to be the better of the best of the 3 taps. You got a 4 and an 8 and a 16 tap. They said the difference was so subtle you may not even notice it, and I've never noticed that the 8 was less than the 16, but it's a nice little thing to note. Okay, so now, knowing what this one sounded like, and you can always go back on the video to check that, I will show you what this one sounds like plugged in. What happened? Let me put this on here real quick. But it's going to be much nastier and like kind of a thinner tone. So our goal is going to be to drop these pickups down and sort of replicate what I got from the 4x12. It won't be exact. You'll hear less bass, and it won't get as clean. That's the other thing I'm pretty sure of. It's not going to get as clean. But by dropping the pickups and setting it up for the 2x12, so if I'm taking out the 2x12 and the 4x12 isn't in play, and this is the only amp, and I'm only going to take one guitar and maybe a humbucking guitar, I'm going to set this up specifically for the 2x12. When I get back, if I'm able to take the 4x12, I'll set it up specifically for that. All right, so let me just show you what we have here. Let me make sure. Okay, I got this one hooked up. I don't want to goof up and leave the amp disconnected, because you'll cook your amp. And I'm in 16. Good. All right, so this and that. And I've got it all the way turned up. Nothing has changed on the amp. Just went from a 4x12 to the 2x12. And this 2x12 is blocking the speakers. That might have affected a little bit of the projection. Okay, now I'll start the neck pickup just like I did before. I'll let it fully come up to let the tubes light up fully. All right, now you'll notice it's just gnarlier and more like throaty and woodier. out. All right, now watch. Let me go to the middle pickup. That one sounds really good, more bass. All right, now finally the bridge. I really like it as a distorted, like, nasty rock tone, but like I said, the versatility's gone. I'm not getting any of that cleanup, and a lot of my tunes nowadays sound more Fendery, and I want to be able to have that rounder tone and not just have like a dirt box, you know. So watch what happens. All right, so let's go back and listen. Here's the neck pickup. Sounds like a motorcycle. It sounds really good. All right, so watch. I'm going to roll it down, and you'll see that it's not as robust. You can't roll down as much. So here it is at 3. It sounds really wimpy. See, it never really cleans up. It's always just ready to get nasty. Here it is at 5. It's just already nasty out of the box. Now that's at 4. So at 10, there's nowhere to go except dirty. Right in the middle, same thing. Nice and thick. That sounds gorgeous. I had the cap off to make it rounded off. So listen, here's everything turned up in the neck position. All right, now here's middle. All right, here's bridge. I'll try to roll up on the bridge and see if we can get some dynamics. It just sounds like lighter dirt instead of like a clean to nasty tone. All right, so now let's experiment with this pickup height thing. Okay, knowing now that with the 4x12, with this setting, it's perfection, at least for me. I mean, it's a tone I love and I feel good about it, and I can roll down and get good clean or clean dirty and then crank it like it's stepping on an overdrive. That's what I'm looking for. It's real simple, nothing to step on, nothing to worry about, plugged right in, no batteries, just let it rip, man, for 45 minutes. That's what I like to do. All right, so now I'm going to the neck pickup. I'm going to drop it down significantly. And the lower you put this one down, the less you have to worry about that whole stratitis business. I will leave on this one, on the neck one, I'm going to go pretty far down and maybe pump the bass side up on this one a little bit as opposed to the treble side, just because, actually I'm going to go a little lower down, because the treble side is already dominant. I want to get a little more bass going on this pickup. But mainly I'm going to just drop this baby down quite a bit, like almost like basically flush, to show you the dynamic thing. Now it's not quite as good because we have less speakers, but see how I dropped that way down? Alright, so now let's see what the neck pickup sounds like now with it dropped. Okay, that's at 10. Sounds a little airier, like lighter. Now watch, let's go to the 3 and see if we get that cleanup I'm looking for. That's like a nice kind of clean. See the difference? It's really awesome. I'm going to roll back a little bit more to exactly at 3, like the screw of the pickup height, and the 3's right on it. That's what I'm looking for. It's like voxy, kind of birdsy, you know, like a Tom Petty range that you could get in. So you're just strumming along your tune. Tune for days, but you see where I'm getting. That actually is an approximation of the 4x12. Not quite as rich, but an approximation. And the speakers are voiced so closely that there's no reason to do any replay. I think that the last thing I said was there's no reason to replace the speakers unless you're just dying to, because they're voiced so closely, you know. And they're both very sturdy speakers. All right, so now we're going to move. Let me kill this. I don't have to listen to this. We're going to move to the middle pickup. I'll show you the same trick. And this time, you want to drop this one way down so you get that quack. I would want to have, yeah, I'll drop this one down too. Now we're in the middle pickup. Let's check our quack up here. In this position. Okay, now back to the middle. Check it out. I'm going to roll it off. Here we are on 3. Too polite. So let me show you how this sounds when it's all the way up. It's too thick and distorted, but I think I got a little too polite that time around. So watch, this is where I would have it. This is where I would have it with the 4x12, and I'll show you how it just doesn't. You don't get any clean on it. Watch. Here we go. I'll go to 3. You don't get any difference, so watch. Drop it back down again. You see what I'm trying to achieve? I want dynamics. I want to be able to do more than one thing, you know, with a little low wattage amp, which is not the easiest thing in the world to achieve. But here we go. Okay, now let's roll that to 3. Oh, that's really nice, really clean. That's a mission accomplished. All right, one more thing. We'll do the bridge pickup. I know this is long. Hopefully it's not too boring. Maybe it's useful for somebody else out there who's trying to swap pickups out and whatnot. All right, so now dropping this baby down. I had this set pretty high because, oh God, does it sound glorious. And this amp cranked up, doing like lead notes, you know, like single note stuff. Oh Lord. All right, so now, my favorite pickup that I've ever heard in my life. Let's see if I can get some dynamics out of this baby. See, I got it dropped down pretty low. Screw started trying to want to come up. You get back down there, you stupid. Not supposed to do that. All right, so here we go. Bridge. Let's see if we can get some clean dynamic going. that to me is exciting because, like I said, I was going to go bonkers and, you know, do my thing, ripping out speakers and ordering speakers. And so I'm going to go back to the lifted position for my 4x12. But I was about to do all that, and you know, it's wasting time. I've got my lyrics written for my new song. I wrote those today. Just wasn't ready to sing yet because I hadn't had enough vocal warm-up time when I got here. And I just want to live with it for one more night before I lay those vocals down. But I was super excited about that, and I was excited about this, and I was thinking, you know what? Now I've avoided distracting myself and stressing myself out with some technical project. There's probably some just sort of psychological deal where I'm avoiding, you know, completion stuff, getting distracted instead of just focusing on the task at hand and staying on that task at hand and not getting off the path, obsessing about stuff that's so minute that only I'm hearing it anyway. You know, hopefully I'm not the only one hearing all that. Hopefully you guys got something out of that and have had the same experience with pickup height. I don't know, it's all new to me. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to the 4x12 and I'm probably going to cry when I hear how perfect this sounds. Back to 8 ohms, just because it's a real beauty. But I do think I got this 2x12 way closer. And man, is there anything more handy around to have around than a 2x12? If you're thinking about selling your 2x12, don't do that, because boy, they are useful. Alright, here we go. Back to the 4x12. Bridge. Go back to the roll off at 3. Middle pickup. Three. Now, finally, neck pickup. This is one you can just rip. It sounds like rain. Listen to this. Pickup on 3. So the 4x12 spoils me because that's perfection for me. That's rock and roll Marshall Strat perfection. I can get everything I want out of that. It doesn't bug me at all. It's like just so right. And I'm so thankful to this guitar. I spent so much effort on this thing, and you know, the wood, the parts, these freaking Lawler pickups, this Fender neck. Man, I'm telling you, it just was worth it. And then it's worth it to put all this effort into your sound, because it just really personalizes it and makes you. When I feel like this, I feel like I can write a song, as opposed to hearing stuff that's bugging me and making me feel like I haven't reached my sonic goals. Next time.